and I just lost everything. I'm still here. Okay.
All right.
Sorry. Boy, we just had a crazy couple of minutes. Thank you, everybody, for showing up to the Nocturnal Feeding. We've got Cool James right here from Fish Room Fever, and we're going to start talking about moss, but I have to get to the chat window. So can you say hi to everybody while I do that, James?
Absolutely. Rolling up as far as I can go. We've got Molly Abrahamson, which I saw you over there before. Hello. LP Lurking. Welcome, welcome. Monster Fish Gal. John Cox. S. I Hate Stupid People. GRB Aquatics. Danikin Aquatics. Chris John. Rajul Singh. Because Beth. Kaler's Aquatics. Delilah's Critters. Punchy Paints. S. I love that. Just plain and simple. S. John McKenzie. Main's Tails Fur and Fins. The Zen Ginger. Kenny E with Danikin Aquatics, St. Creek Aquatics 2. Hello, Amy. Dragon Lair, I Got Snacks 13. Secret History Living in Your Aquarium. The Lion's Den, mainly bettas. SC Catahulas, rolling and scrolling. I'm sure I missed somebody. Holes P. Hello, hello. New name to me, and I'm sure I screwed it up, but welcome. Glad to have you here. Mainly Bettas is asking, is Fisher Fever's website working for you all? I can't get it to come up. I will check on that as soon as we get Ed here in the chat. Darlene's Tanks, hello.
I'm in the chat, and it was funny because someone noticed in the stream, the last stream, that my sign with Tennessee has one too many E's. And so then I was wondering if the Tennessee Mafia thing has one too many E's in my video. And I was waiting to watch the song and stuff to go through, but I was trying to do the live chat and I lost everything. So
it was correctly spelled in the video. I did peep that really quick as it was blasted through.
I'm dying now to see the artwork that I gave them if it had two E's, because it would be, I hope it doesn't. I really hope that the artwork doesn't have two E's, and so maybe they'll give me a new sign. Because you would think they would have mentioned that when they made it.
You would have thought so, yeah.
Since we live in Tennessee.
And I don't know if it's supposed to be Holes or Holes P or what it is, but it says, I'm brand new around here. Welcome. Glad to have you. Always love having new fish keepers come around. It says, do you guys know anything about aggression in South American cichlids? No, a little bit. We've got some awesome people in here. Not to leave anybody out, but like Kenny E. Danikin Aquatics. He's like a huge cichlid guy. We've got quite a few awesome cichlid keepers in here. I know a little bit. Mrs. Fever, who probably in the chat knows more than I do, and of course Ed knows a good bit as well.
Yeah, what's his problem with them? They're just being aggressive?
There we I just asked if we knew about aggression. And Keller's Aquatic says they will replace it, and they're supposed to approve it, so they'll replace it, I'm sure.
Okay.
So there we go.
Well, I hope that I didn't give them artwork with two E's in it or something. So, and I'll look it up.
Figured out.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. I'm glad somebody noticed it. I was so excited to see it today. Oh boy, good way to derail a stream right off the bat with something like that. But nevertheless, we were talking about mosses last week, and we went through a lot of the different tips, and we were kind of talking about what were good mosses, what weren't good mosses, and we were going through like a list of mosses that I've wrote down that I've been practicing with to see what works the best with my guppy fry. Because that's the main purpose with moss for me, is to give shelter for my fry. And, you know, maybe something for them to eat, a little pick off some might grow stuff that might grow on it. You know, I love plants. I'm not going to get rid of the plants. I'm going to keep the kabomba. I love that. I love the guppy grass. But I really like the moss for, you know, I should have brought a second camera in today. For my fry tanks, because I'm basically carpeting it with moss, so the fry can go into the bottom, but when they're getting bigger, I can see them and fish them out easier. So that was my main thought to that versus like a guppy grass where I'm going to have to search for them. Or the Kabomba, it grows like crazy everywhere. So I like moss. It's working really well for me. And moss is a little different than plants. It uses a rhizome versus a root. Roots go into the ground and they anchor themselves, and then they're pulling the nutrition out of the ground. And with moss, it has a foot that basically doesn't attach, or it'll attach, but it won't suck any nutrients out. So like you can stick it to wood and rock and stuff, and it's not going to be pulling the minerals out of the rock. It's getting all of its nutrition like through the water column. And there's things that we can do to grow better moss too. We're going through the different stuff to make them live the best with temperatures and stuff and whatnot. But I didn't mention water flow. James, do you use much water flow on your mosses?
So I have sponge filters in all of my setups because I run the Co-op linear air pump.
Yep.
I do have most of them turned up to what would be considered maximum efficient capacity on a sponge filter. There comes to a point when you're pushing too much air through a sponge filter. So that's the flow I'm getting. I don't have a ton of flow. I don't add anything extra for flow. I do on some of my sponges take an elbow, like a PVC elbow, and attach it to the top of the uplift tube so that it runs water, directionally versus just straight up and then mushrooming back down. But the most flow I've got in any of mine with my mosses is just from simple sponge filters. So I wouldn't really deem those high flow necessarily.
You see, that's pretty much the exact same place I'm at. Is I'm pretty much just using sponge filters for all mine. And I think if I had a little more flow, it would help keep stuff out of the moss. I think that's what the moss likes, is because it's not it's a thin plant and things get stuck in it. And I really think if you don't have a good flow, you really want to have some shrimp or something that's going to be cleaning it, because you'll really see the food sticking to it. Dirt will stick, almost everything. When I have a dead shrimp, it sticks to it. It's like, I think the shrimp figure, hey, if I'm going to die, I might as well dive in heaven, and they die in the moss. But yeah, so that's one thing I don't have. I am going to be putting moss in my 55 that I'm going to be setting up for daisy rice fish. And that'll have some good flow. So we're going to see what happens there. Oh, I do have one 15-gallon round tank that has quite a bit of flow, and it's got the Christmas moss, and it does do crazy good. So, yeah. So flow is something you guys can do. From what I've seen, most of it prefers lower temperatures too. Or, when I say lower, I mean like guppy level temperatures, not your higher discus levels. Keep it in the 70s versus the 80s. But moss is so tough, it will grow in it.
Yeah, I've got some Java moss as well as 2 of the aquarium caught moss bridges in my Zebra Pleco tower of tanks. That system runs at 83, 84 degrees Fahrenheit. It doesn't thrive the same as it does in the cooler tanks, but it does still grow and survive.
Yeah, and you see, I think most of us are growing it for the feature for the fish. Mm-hmm. We aren't growing it to grow it. So I think that it works. But if you're actually trying to grow it for the best results, a little bit of CO2 helps. Most of the mosses that I've been reading don't like high light. They prefer the lower light because algae is a huge predator, not a predator, but a killer of moss, because it grows on it, and that there again, another flow would help with it. You want clean water for your moss to keep the algae down, but you don't want to use carbon. Like I got the Co-op Easy Carbon, that will wipe out your moss just like it'll wipe out your algae, because it's more of a simple plant that's getting all of its nutrition through all the green on it. So, yep, that's just a few tips that I think that we could talk about, or that I wanted to go over quick before we got right back into talking about different mosses.
And I will give away one of my big secrets, if you will.
Yeah.
The thing that I have found that helps moss grow the best, I know I don't run CO2. I do use Easy Green, and as Priscilla loves to point out, Easy Iron as well. Moss loves iron. But the thing that I have found where I get the best moss growth is where I've got it in a tank that has lots of pleco poop in it. So if I'm growing out, several dozen juvenile plecos, or I've got maybe a breeding pair in there that's constantly producing new plecos, the tanks that have the most growth are the ones that have the most pleco poop. They're getting plenty of nutrients. The moss is getting plenty of nutrients. So,
I read that they like potassium too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was one of the things that I was gonna do today. I haven't been feeling super great today, so I didn't get to do as much prep work as I'd like to, but I wanted to see if there was potassium in the Easy Green. There is iron. Oh, I don't see any potassium. Oh, well. I'm going to try to figure out how I can add some potassium to it. To my tanks. But, baby cat's sitting on my list. Hey, sweetheart. Okay. Well, last week, we had gone through about 5 or 6. Oh, actually, I think we went through maybe 7 mosses. Did we go to the star moss?
I think that we ended on the star moss, if I'm not mistaken. I'm answering some questions in the chat while you're talking mosses, so I was just flipping my camera off for a minute.
That's fine. Could you go to the star moss picture? Because this is a crazy awesome moss.
Hold, please.
Sure. I think this is the coolest moss of them all. It's not the easiest. It's a slow-growing moss. But it's not super hard. It's just slow-growing. It likes low light. A pH between 6 and 7.5. But this one takes high temperatures. It goes 73 to 86. So this would be a good one in your discus or your rams. Yeah. Can you just pop into that one that looks like a coral? Yeah. Oh, look at that. They're all cool.
Very pretty stuff.
So I think that is the best looking moss of them all. But, okay, so here's another nice one that I just have as that one I want to get someday. But also Peacock Moss. It's a moss that I like. I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to get it, but if I ever have the opportunity, I'm going to try to get the Peacock Moss. It likes basically the same pH. It actually goes even lighter. It can go to 5.8, 7.5. It does like to have a little CO2, so it's a little bit weaker. And I'll read that in just a minute, as soon as I'm done here. It's a low light and it grows slow, so I don't know. Are you able to pop up a picture of our peacock rock? Our peacock moss?
Peacock moss. Yes, sir. Give me just a moment. All right. I figured it was easier to just address some questions in the chat versus derail the moss conversation here.
Is it okay to put out a name for Gil the goldfish? Gil is the channel name, the Gil the goldfish, or I have no problem with promoting anybody. So people go check out the goldfish Gil. Okay.
And I do want to say Priscilla, who sponsored a giveaway in my stream that just ended, which if you didn't catch the stream there, go hit the replay on that if you're watching this on replay. But she's also sponsoring tonight's giveaway on Ed's channel. Said that she has got most of the mosses that we are looking for. So if you go on Swiss Aquatics, not only can you find the awesome art, but you can find these awesome mosses as well.
And she also has awesome shrimp that will keep these mosses really happy, and the mosses will keep the shrimps happy. Yeah, I've got her Blue Dreams and her Green Jades, and they're both awesome. The Blue Dreams are like having shrimplets like crazy. So I definitely recommend Priscilla's website. Everybody go check it out. I mean, not only is she an amazing artist, but she's an amazing aquarist. And is that what would be an amazing shrimp keeper? She's amazing crustacean, aqua crustacean.
I do want to point out, though, last I was aware, she's no longer shipping shrimp for the season. And it won't be springtime again. And just like somebody had asked, Halsey P had asked if I was going to be adding more products. I will not really be adding much at the end of the year because it's about to get really cold for shipping fish. May add some plants, but springtime is going to be the big time when you see a lot of people, including myself, adding a lot of stuff. We're going to have a huge spring sale with a ton of stuff on there, and I may put it on the site beforehand where you could look at it and then make it in stock when spring gets here.
But there shouldn't be any reason why I don't think that Priscilla could sell her plants year round. I don't know. She'll let us know, I'm sure. She's here and she's awesome.
Yeah, plants are a lot easier to keep alive. And even like Corey at Aquarium Co-op has talked about, plants actually prefer some colder temperatures than what we normally keep them at, as long as you're not freezing them and causing damage to the actual plant. Plants don't really mind cold. It's a lot easier to keep them alive than it is fish when you're shipping in cold temperatures.
Yeah, I actually learned that from Corey directly.
Yeah.
I ordered a bunch of his plants, and they came here, and my mail woman, I guess postal woman, I don't know what you'd call her, postal delivery person, retired, and she was amazing, and the new one is terrible. And her first week, she delivered a box of plants to my garage on the side of the house instead of the front door. And they sat there for a couple of days. And my trash can was like hiding it. So I had to I didn't find out until I moved my trash can. I was like, what? Some trash fell out. And I realized it was a package from the co-op. And everything was super cold, but it all lived. So yeah, you can do plants pretty cold, which is really good. But now, I think she must have killed some other people's animals that week, because now she won't deliver any live animals to anybody's house. And I didn't make a complaint, so it had to have been somebody else. But she doesn't fill out the paper and she doesn't fill it out and stick it in my mailbox saying that I've got a delivery at the post office. So now, whenever I know that I'm getting fish, I have to go to the post office a couple times that week just to see if it's in. Real pain in the butt. But sorry, didn't need to get so into that.
Absolutely. I do want to say a huge thank you to Candy. One, for putting the link in KG Tropicals, them allowing that to happen. 2, for hanging out over there in the other stream. And 3, for being here. Candy, you do an amazing job, and you were everywhere. Definitely a pillar of the Fish Fam community. And we don't get to thank you enough, so thank you very, very much for that. And she mentioned shipping is going to be horrible during the holidays, and also that their plants are refrigerated en route. As long as they don't freeze, they're fine.
Yep. And it doesn't freeze too often in Tennessee. So, and I'm in southern Tennessee, so I'm right on the Georgia border. So I'm even a little bit more warm. Okay, you know what? Let's go to a different one, because the next one I have is actually a plant. So we're going to skip that one, go to the Taiwan Moss. Taiwan Moss is pretty cool because it kind of will grow straight up like a little column, like a little bush. I don't know if you can pop any pictures of that. I'm making James work today. I'm sorry, James.
That's fine.
But it's a low light. It can handle just about every pH there is. I don't know if there's any shots of it just growing straight up, but it'll grow up to 10 inches long. It's pretty neat when it grows straight. And the Taiwan Moss is also the one that can pretty much handle every temperature. It's a lot like the Java Moss, where it can handle from 53 to 86. But I mean, there's like that first shot, you can kind of see it. It's a little bit like flame moss, how it just kind of goes straight up. So it's a low light one. A lot of these things are low light. And I've noticed that the mosses that are in tanks that I'm fighting duckweed seem to do very well. Just because the duckweed, I think, really helps cut out some of the light. So if that's also a problem that you might have with your planted tanks, you know, being too dark a lot because you're always dealing with all the floaters. Because I also keep a lot of frog bit. So I've got frog bit and duckweed on top of my stream, or on top of my my tanks. For not to have any duckweed, but it happens. Okay, and now the next one is Pearlmoss. Pearlmoss is a pretty neat one. It's one of the coolest. If I ever see it, I'm definitely going to get it. It can handle a lot of temperatures and a variety of pH, so it's strong there, but it's pretty expensive. Let's see. It's a real pretty one, but it's generally costly and it's hard to find.
15, yeah, little pricey.
But you see, it's like a pretty little bush. I like that.
It is. Candy, can you let me know if you are still, if your GoFundMe is active so I could post a link if it is?
Oh, yeah.
I think we still have it. I know we still have it linked on the website, but I want to make sure before I posted it. Yeah, that's a beautiful moss.
And it's a really good cover one. So if you just want to cover like maybe just a rock in your tank, like maybe you want to do like 2 rocks and just make them look like little round bushes, that's a great one. It's also, you can use it as a carpet plant. If you use a carpet plant, you might want to add a little bit of CO2 to make it really grow. A lot of the carpeting plants need CO2, and even though this isn't a plant, it'll help it grow and cover real well. So there's my pearlweed. Now the last one is a pretty neat one. It's actually not a moss. It's a plant. So it actually has little roots. Oh, actually, it doesn't have roots. It's a liverwort. It's a terrible sounding name. Liverworts are another type of plant. They have rhizomes like moss, but they don't produce flowers. They have spores, and they don't like grab on to get their nourishment. They get the nourishment the same as moss. But it's called Pearlmoss, Pellia. And I'm hoping I'm saying that right. But from what I understand, it's kind of, if you're having a hard time with moss, but you don't know how to do plants, Pearlmoss is actually kind of easier. It's a slow grower also, so it's easy to control. It can handle all varieties of light, so it can handle bright or low light, or high or low. And like you can see in these photos, people use it on walls and everything. It's pretty neat. The temperature range, because it's a plant, I think it can go a little bit colder than the normal moss. It goes down to 41 to 86. So it's wide variety. It's like it can do everything. It can handle just about any pH from 5.5 to all the way to 8. So, I mean, if you're having a problem with your Java moss or your Taiwan moss, those are the 2 that we talked about that were the easiest of the mosses to grow. You might want to try this one because it's actually not a moss and it does pretty much the same thing. But that's what I've got for my moss.
All right. Well, I know we'd had some questions go through earlier. I tried to answer as many as I could in the chat. But if you also have questions, maybe we're rolling them over from the previous stream, feel free to throw those in. Ed's not always watching the chat, so if you put Fish Room Fever in front of that, it will highlight for me, and I can grab that out of there.
But like what I wanted to say is all these mosses that I picked were all mosses you don't need CO2. So that was my goal when I put my list together of mosses to buy for my fish tanks to try, because I don't want to CO2 50 tanks, for breeding guppies.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't mind CO2, maybe 1 or 2 tanks, but, if I'm doing that many tanks, it's going to have a better chance of me messing up and killing some guppies. And not that I don't love trying to make my tanks look nice. The main purpose is to have more, guppies. So I guess, I was actually thinking about this earlier, James, when I was driving to Cleveland, was the 10-gallon tanks that are sideways drive me nuts because I can't see my fish as well.
Right.
And what I've done is I've outgrown a couple of my 20s, and so I've put fish in other 20s, but I'm looking at the same fish, and I need to be putting those in the 10s and the ones in 10s that I can't see well into my 20s so I can enjoy them more.
And I'm so used to having 10s on end, it doesn't bother me at all. But I can totally understand that. It's one of those to each their own type of things. Just Shrimp Granny says, why isn't Ed's beard moss green for this? With 3 big green hearts. I should have done mine again. I did mine bright green for Halloween. I should have done it again for the moss stream.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, your hair allergy. Algae. We'll go that way. It's easier to say.
Algae.
Well, I'd probably be green maybe for St. Patty's Day. But, yeah, I got to be red until my Chiefs stop winning. And hopefully that'll never happen.
So we've got 100 people watching now. 72 thumbs ups for this awesome guy over. Did I go the right way? I can't even see my screen. We flipped. I hope I went the right way. Yeah, over there. Really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already to Chattanooga Ed and you followed us over here from the Fish Room Fever stream, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. He is getting closer and closer to that 1,000 subscriber milestone, which is, of course, huge for any YouTuber, any content creator on here, because that's when you hit that kind of monetization platform there. I will steal Ed's show here and say, since we can't super chat Ed, if you would like to super chat Ed, I would advise you make a small donation to the Ark of Cleveland and help out Bob Kaler, Kaler's Aquatics. He has got an awesome not-for-profit. Wow, almost not-for-profit Ark. It's been a long day. Not-for-profit animal shelter there that he manages and runs and spends a lot of time taking care of those guys and gals, the animals. So we'll get a link in here for that. So if you were wanting to super chat Ed, but there's no button for it because he doesn't have his 1,000 subscribers, 1, subscribe if you haven't so we can get him there. And 2, throw that money over at Kaler's Aquatics, GoFundMe for the Ark. Let's help some animals out this holiday season.
Oh, that was so good, James. I was thinking if they wanted to super chat me, they could sign their husband or wife up or their kid. But yeah, the Ark is awesome. Bob lets me go over there and play with the cats, and I like that too. They're pretty cool. He's got some cats that some animals that are deemed unadoptable because they've just been there so long or they're just too old. And it's pretty cool because I get to see them all the time. He's got one named Sylvester that's really cool and one named Ladybug. And then they kind of they greet the other cats, the new cats. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to have an animal that's knows the ropes. I don't know. I don't want to go prison and say it's like the real old guy that explains to the new kid how to do everything.
Right.
But it's like going to church camp and you got the old kid that tells all the other kids how to get their food and stuff.
Thank you, Candy. Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Thank you, Candy, for posting the link to the GoFundMe for the Ark. I would also like to say, because it's Thursday night, a lot of people don't get paid until Friday. If that's something you'd like to help support, you can find that link for the Ark GoFundMe on fishroomfever.com. It's on the first page. You don't even have to go look at the store to find it. Just go down the first page below the streaming times, and you will find that. So maybe, like I said, I don't get paid till tomorrow, but I want to help. You can go find the link there instead of having to dig through the chat replay and look through an hour of stuff. So Moonmaker, oops, sorry.
Bob said they're the ambassador cats that sell the cigs.
Oh, I almost missed one from Delilah. Delilah's Critters says, Fisherman Fever and Ed sent you an invite to my actual Delilah's Critters page. Would love some advice from the starting up my YouTube channel. Absolutely. I used to get to spend a lot more time doing that, and I miss getting to do that stuff. So yeah, love to help you. Love to offer any advice that we can. Just remember, we're just a couple of goofy guys with cameras and keyboards. So, take that for what it is.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things that I can suggest is content consistently. And that's something that I don't really do. I've never been too concerned about growing. I'm here more just to have fun and hang out. But I really should. I need to push to 1,000 so I can do my local fish store. Like you've seen, Bob gets to go to my local fish store and videotape live, and I can't. So I need to try to push to get to 1,000 so I can go to Aquatic Aesthetics. Let me pull it off. And this is my local guy right here in Chattanooga. Or maybe I'd want to go to Knoxville and check out James's, and you guys can see a different perspective of a video from that place.
I will say that I'm going over to Aquatic Marine, which is my LFS, tomorrow to get his office set up with all his fancy cameras and mics and stuff that he's just purchased so that he could be a guest on some live streams. So nice. Stay tuned for that. That's what I was looking for. Moonmaker says, I grow mosses tied to plastic craft mesh / canvas and stick it on the sides of my aquariums with suction cups. Then patience, and I can dose ferts directly down the side where the moss is. Absolutely. I use that same mesh. I haven't done the suction cups so much, but a lot of times I'll take a plant weight and just weight them on the bottom. Kind of let them sit down in that pleco poop, if you will. Let them just soak that stuff up out of there.
Yeah, that was something I forgot to mention. Was those in pleco poop that you gave me?
I'm sure they were. I mean,
great.
I shook them out really well.
I was trying to think, did I wash my hands?
No. So I have, and this was, I was going to say real quick, in terms of the channel thing, the one thing I will say now is bring added value, and that should apply to anything you do in life, whether it's education, entertainment, or both. Just bring some value and people will find you. And I try and do that not only on here. Sometimes it's just me being goofy and giving people a smile with a feather boa and some dorky glasses. Sometimes it's actual information. But right down to like the site, I try and make sure when somebody does an order, they look at this and they go, wow, I got more than what I paid for. I'm happy with this, So that's my primary goal, is always to bring value no matter what you do. And people will find you and appreciate that. But no, I shake all of, I have like a 4-stage process before I pack anything in terms of making sure that it's like clean and pretty. And I want it to look just like picture type, it comes from the retail world, I think.
You guys, I put them through so much work last week. I brought over a whole tub of frog bit. And I mean, it was like this thick of frog bit, but it was also that thick of duckweed. And I didn't clean any of it off for the poor guy.
Mainly,
been so much work.
Sorry. Mainly, I don't know why it's not working for you, and I'm sorry that it's not. I know we've had about 10 or 12 people have checked it, and the website's been working for them. The only thing I could think is maybe if you've gone there before, refresh your cookies possibly, or delete your browser history and try refreshing the page, because I'm on it. Several other people have checked it, and I don't know why it's not working for you, but I apologize that it is not. Yeah, Mrs. Fever hates it. I'll spend 4 hours just making sure the plants are fresh. She's at the chat like that.
He's got a little tweezers picking every little thing. Well, but that's awesome. That's great quality. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the things I forgot about talking about that I had as one of the subject or topics for tonight's Moss was things to attach to and the objects to attach it to. Like how to attach it.
Yep.
Like you can use. Are you pulling it up? Yeah, his is bigger than mine.
That's weird.
I've never seen the 3-pack.
Oh,
never.
So I find these at the Dollar Tree. When you can find the bonus 3-pack, I would get every one you can. You're getting that free tube,
I buy every time I see that the Dollar Tree doesn't have a weight, I'll buy $5 worth. But if it has a weight, I just turn around and walk out of the store because, wow, they can be slow. Real slow.
What are some of your other methods, Ed?
Okay, well, I know some people use fishing line.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like fishing line. And this goes to other types of things because a lot of my moss I just throw into the tank, which isn't necessarily recommended, but I've done a lot of other plants to different things. And I tried fishing line once with a Nubius, and I squeezed it too tight and it cuts through it like a groat. And don't stay. I don't recommend fishing line whatsoever. It's clear, so you don't see it very good, but it's so sharp when you pull it tight. So I'd stay away from that. I would go with the string that people, oh gosh, I had it in my mind all day today, what it's called. Needle point string. You can get I would try to match it to whatever the color, like if you're doing it to a wood, maybe brown.
Yep.
If it's a gray rock, gray, don't buy fluorescent orange or white. White's going to show up on that wood, but if you do brown, it's going to blend. So it's a softer material. It's a lot of it's thick string, but it's not too thick. And that's my favorite thing. That's my go-to string.
Yep, absolutely. I've also seen people use sewing thread, get some black thread out and use that. Somebody mentioned dental rubber bands. A lot of different things you can use. Just depends on exactly what you're doing, what plants you are working with, and what you are attaching it to.
I did rubber bands once, and that was with the Dragon Puffer sweet potato. And the first week she was in there, she had bit the rubber bands off of one of them. And I was afraid she was going to eat all the rubber bands. So I took them all out and redid the tank with a string because I didn't want her eating it. But so kind of be careful if it's a big fish. I don't know if she thought it was a worm or what, but she just bit it right off. But luckily they were floating in the, or not floating, but they were sunk to the bottom. So she didn't eat them. But, oh, Priscilla made a video on that, FYI.
Priscilla makes videos now? I'm just picking on her. She didn't for the longest time. I had to give her a hard time. So
Priscilla has a whole video on rubber bands and puffer fish.
So
I'm guessing. Probably on good strings.
Ed, I do want to ask, one, what time do you want to do your giveaway? And two, how would you like to do your giveaway? Because I don't think you have Nightbot.
But aren't we on your thing anyway?
We're not on my channel, though.
Oh, the channels have to have the Nightbot?
Yeah, he's one of my moderators on my channel. Do you want to do the number thing, and then you and I can get together and set up your Nightbot another time?
Yes. What we'll do is we'll do a number thing.
I can try it real quick. But
yeah, let's just see if he can try it. And we'll just keep talking. Tonight's giveaway is from Priscilla. It's one of her calendars. It's amazing and it's awesome. And like a maroon, I left I don't even know why I looked because I know I left it upstairs in the kitchen. That's where I plan on keeping it. So I need to bring it down to the fish room though. It's just too cool. And then I can keep referencing it. Now, one thing with my number, it's not going to be the Price is Right. It's just whoever's the closest to the number. So you can be under or below.
Let's see if I got him in here.
We had a lady at my factory, and whenever we did like guessing games, she always argued that it had to be the Price is Right, where you couldn't go over. And I'm like, oh, Vera, you're killing me. So it'll be just whoever gets closest.
I think that I have at some point gone through and added Nightbot to your moderators list because I just went and signed in as you on Nightbot and invited him. And it looks like he's here. So if you want to try a hashtag, we can see if it populates eligible users.
What do I do?
Give me a hashtag to put in. And you all wait a second before you go typing it. Give me a chance to enter it, and then I'll I'll type in the chat and let you know, just to make sure.
I gotta find where the hashtag thing is.
Or you could just
whoops.
Tell me and I can type it. And
okay, how about we'll just do a test. Hashtag test.
Hashtag test.
Normally, I always just do copy and paste. And one time I messed that up. I was in Dan's stream and I copied and pasted, and then Candy said, "Oh, you misspelled." I copied off the wrong person.
So Kaylor's Aquatics has a great question. Says, Ed, is 36 or 34 closest to 35?
I guess it's a runoff.
All right.
Now I understand what Vera was saying all this time. All of a sudden, it just made sense.
All right, we're going to get it fixed. You just keep talking. I'll get the tech side fixed. We'll make it work.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay, other things that you can attach your moss to. And we talked about rocks. And I would like to do a tank with that pearl weed. With like, is actually the thing going to be...
It's not. I was going to say, hashtag test is not going to do anything for you. That was just to test, and it did not.
I mean, I don't care.
I just wanted people to be aware. I was like, I'm going to let Ed keep talking here.
Well, I felt bad in your stream because there were like 5 people that kept entering over and over. And I wanted them to know it only works once. So, I mean, not that they'd be kicked out for twice or 50, but that way they just don't wear out their thumbs. But, okay, where was I? Oh, yeah. So round rocks, and I would like to do like little rolling hills. I think that'd look really cool. You can do wood. Have you ever done anything with wood, James?
Yes.
With moss?
Yeah, I have. I did in my Rachel O'Leary Escaping from Scraps challenge. I took this ugly, god-awful, like single piece of wood that had no branches on it. It looked like a really deformed wand. And I took it and made it kind of an archway. And then I took moss. I wrapped the moss around it, and then I reverse wrapped the thread around it to hold it in place. Hashtag fail. I like that.
Well, and then like that would, golly, I've got like what type of moss did you use? Did you just use Java moss, or did you use?
It was just Java moss, correct.
I think flame moss is the best. Yeah, flame moss is supposed to be the best with wood. I don't know if their rhizomes just stick better or what, but it's pretty wonderful. Does anybody else have like any bizarre things that they like to put their moss on? I think everybody's just having fun trying to figure out the giveaway.
Oh, I know what it is. I'm typing it in now.
If you're not able to...
I already got it, buddy. It's already set up. Here we go.
Oh, awesome. So did you do it?
Type hashtag 2021 to enter to win a 2021 calendar.
I thought you had to add the whole thing. It's just 2021?
2021.
Okay. And this is from Priscilla. It's amazing. The winner will have to give her or his information to Priscilla, and she will send it directly to them. And this is my very first giveaway. So thank you so much, Priscilla. And if this works, maybe next week I'll send out a trio of guppies or something. See if anybody would like that.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm sure people would. And especially with John doing a weekly giveaway now, he's putting the pressure on us little guys.
Now, Bob said, I do, but I can't say it here. Uh-oh, I wonder what I accidentally said. Oh. Yes, mosses on like ceramics and stuff would be really cool too. I'd kind of like, it'd be cool. I know it sounds dorky, but I'd kind of like to do a hobbit house with the, that was my idea with those little round rocks or big round rocks with the pearlweed, and then one have the front of a hobbit house. I thought that'd just be neat from Hobbiton.
So Collins Critter Cave says, I just started injecting CO2 into a 6-gallon cube with a sponge filter. Should I turn down the airflow while the light and CO2 is on? I have not run CO2 in a very long time, but best of my memory would be yes, because the surface agitation is going to help the CO2 escape more quickly versus giving it time to dissolve into your tank, if I remember the theory of how it all works correctly. Somebody will correct me if not, but...
Do you turn on the CO2 at night or during the day? I think it's.
I thought it was at night. Is it during the day? It might be. I don't. It's been so long since I've run CO2. I don't even remember what photosynthesis schedule you're supposed to put it on.
I've never done it. I've thought about it, and I never got around to it. Oh, Tom Patterson's here. He's so cool.
I tried DIY CO2 a decade plus ago, and it was okay, but it was messy. Okay, so CO2 is only when the light is on. There we go. That's right. But yeah, as far as I remember, in terms of setting everything up, you don't want the surface agitation to cause the CO2 to be released. You want it to stay in there as long as possible to allow it to the maximum amount of time to dissolve.
Now, okay, we've got all these people, and I've thought about trying to CO2. Now, I'll be honest, y'all. I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to probably ask Sean Peck, because he's the guy that I go to with a lot of this type of stuff. But is it worth doing a DIY CO2 deal, or is it better just to buy the containers? And you see, I know already what Sean's going to say. Sean's just going to say, buy the best one there is.
Well, the biggest thing, if you get into like building your own legitimate CO2 setup, is going to be the regulator. So if you're going to like piece part something together, but it's going to be a legitimate one, the regulator is where I've seen the most issues with people that are building their own CO2. If you're just talking about the soda bottle, Sean's probably not going to recommend the soda bottle versus the legit setup.
And then the smell and everything else, I just don't know if it's...
Yep. So we've got 48 eligible users, but we've got 99 people watching right now. It looks like a lot more than 48 to me.
Oh, even Dave says, don't go cheap on your regulator.
Yeah.
The coolest one I ever saw was, it was like the CO2 would go up, and it went back and forth all the way up this really long thing. So you had all these little balls going up, and then would go. And I could just stare at that all day long. I'd be staring at that more than the fish. But if I ever find one of those for sale, I'm going to buy it. There's also the neat ones that have the spirals, but I really want the one that goes back and forth. And I don't even care if it's gigantic. That would probably be the first CO2 I ever get.
And Kenny says CO2 art is a good regulator, and she would know as many streams as she moderates. She's definitely been around to hear enough about good and bad regulators.
And I will, I don't want to, I like to write stuff down in my notes, but I don't want to write it in my Moss. Well, I guess it could be in the Moss section. Yeah, I'll put it in the Moss section. I'll just write it up here. CO2 art. Okay. So now, has everybody entered?
Got 53 eligible users.
All right. Well, now, we've been doing like giveaways on all the streams tonight, and I want to remind everybody that Dave. What?
I said Dave the same time you did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dave's Aquarium Thoughts is going to be having a giveaway also for hitting his 500 subs and like his 40,000 or something views or 65,000 views. I don't know. I don't even know how to check where your views are. But that's awesome because he's a super cool guy. And so stick around after this show. And he said that we could run over because he noticed that we've been running over on your show a little bit. So he said we could go over a little bit on ours, and then he would start earlier, or he would just start 65,000 views. Yeah, that's awesome.
That is.
So Dave is a super great guy. I like him a lot. But let's do this Nightbot thing.
All right, let me share the screen so everybody knows it's legit. Share screen. Boom. All right, hashtag 2021, as you can see there. We're going to roll it, and the winner is Sarah J. Sieber. There we go.
Awesome, Sarah.
Perfect.
Well, yep. We'll have to get your information.
Congratulations. I feel better since you put that $5 super chat at the end of the other stream because you couldn't get an answer. So that makes me feel a little bit better that you won something. Not that that contributed to it, but.
Well, Sarah, do you know us on Facebook? Because if you do, we could get your information to Priscilla through Messenger. And Nico finally showed up today. He's been asleep the whole time behind the computer. Oh, and then he sticks his tail right in.
Yep, she is here. She said, LOL, yay! Congratulations.
Awesome.
Very, very cool.
That is, man, it feels good to give something away, even though Priscilla did all the work.
Right. And again, a huge shout out to Priscilla. Go check out SwissAquatics.com. She's been a huge supporter of both of us, has contributed to multiple giveaways and donations and prizes and things for both of our channels. So, plus she's got really awesome shrimp, which she's not selling right now, but she's got awesome plants. Like she said, she's going to have a lot of these mosses available that we've discussed and some of the best fish art that you can find.
Yeah, I think I'm going to buy some of those mosses from her just for the fun of it that I haven't been able to find. So that's super cool. And like, you can find all the mosses on Aquabid, but I kind of like to get stuff from people I know for sure. Not that Aquabid's bad, but we've talked about Aquabid. So, but yeah, Priscilla's amazing. So you can't get a better deal than her. But, well, should we basically wrap it up? Or, well, is there any last minute questions? Because Dave said we could go a little late.
Well, and I'm going to throw this up here for you. Fred's posted a couple of times, but I think we should definitely show some support for a veteran, kind of help him make that goal. So we know how it is with Nathan trying to get somebody to a goal after the fact. It's just not quite the same as trying to get them there before.
Yeah. We should be able to do that. I mean, we should hopefully we maybe get them to 1,000. So that's cool. Thank you, Dead Fred, for doing that. Dead Fred's a really good guy. He had a really sad video last week about Do Trees Weep. I suggest everybody go check it out because it's worth it. It's like a poem.
I am. Sure, we'll be happy to take. S says Fisherman Fever Ed's order at Taco Bell. I don't know if we've hit Taco Bell together. I think we usually avoid Taco Bells.
Oh, yesterday I went to Taco Bell because I was craving it. And it turns out I haven't been there for a month because they were like redoing the whole thing. I was like, when did you guys start this? And she said a month ago. And I was like, wow, no wonder I was craving Taco Bell. So, yeah, not all Taco Bells are doing it, just mine. But it's one of the few things open this late at night now with the whole lockdowns.
Absolutely.
But yeah, normally James and I, we like to go to a Subway on our way home. And
yes.
Do you like the steak sandwiches?
I do. I like the Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah.
Philly steak and cheese.
Lindsay, do you know what I like? It doesn't matter.
He likes the cookies. He likes the cookies.
I do. I love the cookies. I like the Black Forest ham. I tell them to double down on it and yep, and with provolone. Otherwise, I go turkey. Not that that's really that important. Let's talk about a couple other people. I'm also, tomorrow I'll be on with Lefty at 4:15 in the afternoon. Lefty's a super cool guy. We talk about just about everything on his show, and it's kind of like my get away from the fish chat because, I mean, even though we just talked about Taco Bell, we talk movies, we talk games, anything you want to talk about, we'll talk about it. Probably. Well, it's his show, so test him. And then on Saturdays, I'm on with Saturday Night Live at 7:30 to 9 o'clock Eastern every week, and that's with this guy that's all blacked out, James, and
I'm here.
I don't know what we'll discuss this week, but I'm sure he has a great topic. And then
you'll have to tune in to find out. We may have a great topic and another special guest. You never know.
Cool.
Could just be us, you know. Could be Bob Steenfott, you know. Could be Guppy Guru again.
Yep.
Tune in and see.
And then on Tuesdays, I'm with Diego from Petzotics and Multiple Tanks, and he's an awesome guy. He helps with our community so much. Every time we do a competition or like we like to set up like competitions and whatnot, he always donates to them. He's amazing. He's such a nice guy. Today I told him I wasn't feeling good, and he says, "Don't worry about it. I'll try to find your shirts for you. You know, the Chattanooga or the Tennessee Mafia shirts." And hopefully I don't send him one with an extra E.
Oh my goodness.
Can't get over that. Wow. But I digress. He's an awesome guy. You can check him out at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays. And I think that's all the shows that I do with people. And then, of course, this one and the Thursday night with James, the Fishaholics. Thank you, mods, for all being awesome. You guys are all amazing. But, you know, all you people are what makes it good. I mean, really you're the club that makes it fun for me because, you know, that's why I do it, is just to hang out and have fun. So thank you, everybody, for coming out and supporting me. I really do appreciate it a lot.
We have a blast.
I don't know. Dave doesn't start until 1. He said he'd start earlier. If anybody has any questions or anything, we'd love to.
Absolutely. So I want to give my motivational piece for the day. I have this chair, and the hydraulics have gone out. So at least a dozen times during the day, it sinks like it has now, and it's very annoyingly low and uncomfortable. I have to get up, and I have to hit the button. And I'm going to get rid of Nightbot real quick since Nightbot's causing problems. But I have to get up and I have to raise the chair back up. And at first it was annoying. And then I realized the chair is just kind of like life. It's going to keep trying to get you down. You just got to keep pushing forward, keep getting back up, and keep going on about your business. And eventually you're going to get where you want to be.
You know what? I wonder if we can fix that.
I'm sure I can.
Can you put a clamp on it? Just so it doesn't sink anymore?
I'm going to just like bring in a whole bunch of cinder blocks. No. We're going to mount it to the aquarium. How to mount your chair to your aquarium next week. Oh, no.
Honestly, I said no to the replacement plan on this chair I bought. And now, like, whenever you sink, I think about, probably should have just paid the extra $25 to get an instantly new chair. Because, like, my elbows on the armrests that go up and down, they start to get sore because it's kind of like in flat in the two areas where I keep my elbows. So, when it comes to chairs, it might be actually worth paying that couple extra bucks.
Absolutely. I'm laughing at Nightbot here. I'm going through, see, my Nightbot is set up specifically not to do this anymore because it used to be a pain in the butt. Yours is not. So I'm going through here and I'm disabling all of Nightbot's spam parameters so it doesn't murder your chat because it's having a field day.
It hates S. Did S even say anything or it just doesn't like the name S?
I think S was playing with emojis to see how many emojis to get a timeout. Yeah, exactly. Nightbot, watch it. Candy overhauls could take you down anytime. There we go. Somebody asked who Nightbot was. Nightbot is a program / website that you can bring into your chat. And there are a lot of different things you can do with it. My favorite thing is to use it for the giveaways because it's completely random. You can just do a hashtag or you can do a number if you prefer to do the number game. and it will randomly pick a winner directly from the stream. So, in a
That
nutshell.
would be an awesome battle. I would put my money on Candy being more effective.
Absolutely.
Candy knows things. But, gosh, what else could we talk about for the fish?
Oh, and no, Delilah's critters. Delilah was asking, do you have a chair fund we donate to? No, I don't. I'm perfectly fine. And somebody mentioned, or you just get a new chair and have a better life. Honestly, it's one of those things that I just see it as a continuous motivational tool now. Especially when I'm really not having a good day and it really starts to get on my nerves. It helps me kind of redirect mentally and go, okay, you need to realize this is not the end of the world. Things are going to get in the way. Things are going to happen. Just keep on keeping on. But I appreciate that. And this was a birthday gift back in July. I love this chair. It's just, like I said, it one day it hit me. It's like, don't let it stress you, just use it to motivate you.
Wow. I figured it was in February. This year has been so bizarre how
it has.
It's like flown and then not flown. It's just been nothing but a bunch of hills.
Ooh. So Biscotti Nanya says, Ed in Fish Room Fever, any tips on scaping a 60-gallon tall? It is 24 inches tall.
Well, I would go with the jungle valve because it would look awesome.
I would. I'm going to stick with the general rule of aquascaping, if you will. I would do some jungle val in the back because it's going to be really long. You could do some other things, get you some really, really tall background plants if you want to stick with the traditional tall to short. I don't always do that. So like this plant, I went like left to right. So I've got all this val up here, and then it goes over, and then halfway through it cuts into some different crypts and things. But val is a really awesome plant. It grows really, really tall. I
have it in ginger. Both of these tanks, and I put the val on the far side, and it's grown everywhere. And normally I'd pull it up, but I'm letting it grow because I want to plant that in another tank. So I'm basically just letting the runners go crazy. Yep. And I'm going to pull them all.
That's what I'm doing right here. Another thing, somebody mentioned lilies, I believe, in the chat. Lilies would be a great one. Very, very nice. I don't always adhere to do some carpeting plants. I don't do a whole lot of carpeting plants. I prefer to use the foreground for some low-lying rock work. But my biggest tip for aquascaping is going to be make something that you enjoy looking at. It's not nearly as important to, say, pull a George Farmer book and go, I made it exactly like his picture. It's beautiful, but I don't like it. It does you no good to have the replica George Farmer scape if you don't like it. So just make sure when you're looking at plants, look at things that you enjoy, things that are going to be compatible with the lighting and the parameters that you're going to have there, and find something that works for you. If you were one of those people that doesn't want it to get untidy, make sure that you avoid fast growing plants. If you're looking for more of an overgrown look, maybe you want to, lean towards some faster growing plants to kind of give it that jungle theme. So just kind of keep those things in mind and lean towards how you're going to enjoy it and what's going to fit into your fish keeping style.
I would also suggest an open space somewhere.
Yep.
I like open spaces where you can view the fish, and hopefully you've got fish that'll actually swim in the area, but it still looks cool even to have all your stuff over, around, but then have an open area where you can look into the world. But if you have it coming all the way, then you can't see them hiding just on the other side of the few leaves because they're going to be 50 leaves back. So that's why I like to leave some type of open area swimming zones.
Absolutely. And I would say have, in terms of open areas, have an open area, which is where you're going to regularly feed at. And that'll get your fish coming into that open area. That'll give you some observation time with them, not just to look at them and enjoy them, but also to be able to get a look at them for health purposes, make sure everybody's happy and healthy, versus them always being hidden in plants. And the next thing you know, you've got 6 dead fish that were off in the plants that you didn't know about because you got ick or something, and you couldn't even see the fish to realize it was going on. Looks like Fuggin, Fuggin, let me clarify that because we don't want to make YouTube mad. Fish is going to do a live stream after Dave's Aquarium Thoughts. Very cool. We're going to keep it rolling all night, all day. Fish
And that's
fam
Kev.
party.
Kev knows a lot of stuff.
He does, and he's an awesome guy. He came on and hung out with me when I did the Halloween live stream from Aquatic Marine. A huge shout out to him. Appreciate doing that.
I never saw that one. I need to watch that still.
Biscotti and Onion, that's no problem. We are here to help. Super chats are not required. If you ever wanted to do that, cool, but please don't feel obligated to do so.
You know,
we're here to help. So
another thing for aquascaping that I like is to get the same type of rock. I know that probably sounds goofy, but you know, we've heard of NOAA Ark fish tanks with lots of different types of fish. Well, I've also seen tanks with lots of different rock. And if you go out in the wild, normally rock like falls off of a mountain and it's all the same thing. And I really like it when the rocks are pretty uniform, you know, so it's, you have all dragonstone or all some type of redstone, you know, or at least same tones.
Depending upon your scape plan, I agree with that completely. Now, if you're trying to say build a scape, especially if you've got a tall tank, that gives you some options to kind of layer it out, where maybe you would build up a high ground in like a back corner, almost like a mountaintop or something. So in instances like that, I may have like some dragonstone down on the bottom, kind of like you're talking about, like some boulders and stuff like that in the lowlands of it. And then you're doing it in terms of scale, like 10,000 foot elevation up here on the hill. Maybe it's got some different rock work there. But again, it's all personal preference. It's all what makes you happy when you look at it. You know, it's kind of like, what's the best fish for this 55-gallon tank? What do you want to look at? That's the best thing to start with, and then go from there. Look at compatibility and parameters. But yeah, absolutely. Rock and woodwork are wonderful things to add into your aquascaping versus just doing some plant work. There is something really cool that I've not tried. I saw in this book from like 30 some odd years ago. And what they would do is they would basically build a wall every couple inches as they came from the back. So they had this really high level in the back, and then there was a ledge down, and then they'd come and they'd make another. So you'd have like 4 or 5 levels of substrate in the aquarium. I've not tried that yet, but it looked really cool in the book. So may try that sometime.
He said that him and his girlfriend are big rock collectors, so that's pretty cool.
Ooh, nice.
You know, maybe, you know, there are, if you go to a stream, you'd see lots of different color rocks, but they might all be kind of round, you know, worn down. So you can have lots of different color rocks that way.
And lots of people talking about dwarf sage. Dwarf sage is beautiful. It's an awesome plant, definitely.
Yep. Bob said that frogs are 50% off at Petco right now. That's pretty cool.
Ooh, very nice.
And Mike's wondering if dart frogs are too. I don't know. Does Petco sell dart frogs?
Oh, that's a good question.
Alex is awesome when it comes to plantscaping and everything. He really knows his stuff. He's like a huge brain. I like to listen to him like when I'm just working in the fish room, and I turn him on, and then like I'll have my back to the computer, and every so often I have to turn and look. Oh, well, Mike said that he does have dart frogs at theirs. That's pretty cool.
Very nice. It says lots of poo for plants. Yeah, make sure that you're getting the recommended fertilization in there for your plants, whether it be from fish poo or that wonderful Easy Green. I use Easy Green in pretty much all of my tanks, and then Easy Iron's an awesome supplement for some things as well.
Yeah, I do too. I want to get the Easy Iron, so the next time I make a co-op order, I'll get that. But right now, I try to do a shopping list so I have enough to get $100 worth. And right now, that's my main thing on the list. So going to take a little while before I can get some easy iron.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you got 2 bottles of Easy Carbon, didn't you?
Well, he sent me one free, and then I bought one. And that was, I was at like $96 or $97. And I just clicked on, well, I'll go with the carbon, I guess. And I just did it, just to fill it. And then they sent me 2. So this one's never even been opened. But it makes a great prop.
Absolutely.
And look at how much bigger it is. I wish the Easy Green was in this container.
Yeah.
But I think this one might be a black container. Is the iron like in a yellowish one?
Iron's got red on the label. Yeah, so it's
the plastic itself a little different, or is it a black plastic?
I think the plastic's the same. I think it's got the darkened plastic on all of them to help keep light out, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
John Cox would like to know what we suggest for plant fertilizer that he can get locally.
Oh, well, then I could go get my bag of it, but I won't walk that far. We'll just tell you this. The topsoil that's oh gosh, what's it called? That has no artificial stuff in it. All
organic.
Organic. Thank you. Oh, I just scared my cat. Organic. Nico just jumped on. But yes, organic dirt works great, and then sand cap it.
And I would have to say my most commonly used locally available fertilizer is just going to be lots of fish poo.
Yeah.
Heavily stocked tanks grow plants, man. Really do. You got to know your parameters and understand balances. Make sure you've got proper checks and balances. But I mean, the plants love the poo. A liquid or a powder to add to the tank. So I've tried a couple of different bottled fertilizers, and I don't want to crap on any of them. But I've not found anything that I like the way I like the Easy Green. And I think I'll leave it that way. I don't have one that you can go to your LFS and pick up that I'm personally going to recommend. Maybe if I had only had 1 or 2 tanks, I would have found dosing to be a little bit easier. I also had some just issues with some of the stuff. I've not found anything I like the co-op product, and I'll leave it at that. I don't want to crap on any of them. There's some good products out there that I've heard other people have wonderful results with. Oh, yeah, that's right. You don't use credit cards, it's hard to get offline. I will say, John, if you ever want us, because you're local to us, if you ever want us to order a bottle when you're coming through town, or before you're coming through town, we can always figure something out so you can get your hands on some. Because I've got the refill jug from Coop. Thank you, Candy, for posting the link for the Easy Green. So that's my go-to. That's the one I recommend. You could try some of the LFS stuff, because I am a huge fan of shopping at your local fish store. Support them anytime you can. I just didn't personally have good results from products that I bought off the shelf, and part of that also had to do with it wasn't as easy to dose, and I don't know, it just seemed like the parameters flew out of whack a lot more. That, again, what happens to me may not happen to you, and vice versa. So,
well, I was doing 2 tanks, and I was videotaping it, and I wish I would have kept doing it, and I gave up halfway through. But I did Flourish versus Easy Green, and Easy Green did so much better. It was crazy. So I just don't do Flourish, and that's the one that you can buy almost everywhere. I have some of Stephen Conroy. I got one of his great big things from he donated something to the Big Fish deal, and I won it with a ticket. So I got his his stuff, and I need to use it. because I bet you it might be a lot like what Lucas's use.
Mhm.
And the next time we go to Indianapolis, we could ask Lucas, because he makes his own. We could ask Lucas what he's using, and maybe we could pass that on to him.
Absolutely.
Unless it's a secret.
Absolutely. Well, we have got Dave. I don't know if he's still ready to fire up a couple minutes early or not. I don't see any other questions. Bob mentioned Ethergreen made 2 of my plants planted tank spike nitrates last month, so holding dosing since. They can, any of them can. And like Bentley did a really good video about this, Bentley Pasco, talking about I don't think there's a product out there that at least one person hasn't had some sort of spike from it. Each individual tank is different, and not just each individual fish keeper, but each tank you have is a little different than all the rest, on their setups, their parameters. So just, as with anything, keep an eye on your stuff, as Bob is obviously doing because he saw that. Just keep an eye on your parameters and dial in your dosages, just like dialing in your feeding, dialing in your water changes, all that stuff. You'll have happy, healthy fish and pretty green plants or red plants or whatever color plants you're going for, whatever they're supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't dose as much as recommended either. I do 2 squirts after water changes. So I think it's supposed to be 2 squirts every other week or every week. I don't know if it's once a week, because maybe I'm doing it right. Oh, well, I do it after water changes. I think I'm doing it less than recommended.
Yep. All right. Well, folks, go check out Dave's Aquarium Thoughts. He's doing a giveaway over there. Did he say what he's giving away, or is that a surprise? Or I'm going to say go check him out and see what he's giving away. You never know.
Go check it out. It's probably something awesome. So well worth going over. He's a super great guy. Does a lot of work making his streams really good. You guys, you'll enjoy it. And thank you again, all my mods. You guys are amazing. Candy, you're so cool. And Andy just said, Ed, maybe monthly. Well, maybe I'm doing it all right. I'm not. See, it seems like it's the first year I went through so much easy green because I was dosing like crazy. And now I have like 35 more tanks than I did the first year. And I'm going through it slower. So that's why I feel like I'm just going through it slower. But thank you, everybody, for coming up, and we'll see you next week. Or actually, no, we'll see you tomorrow on Lefty Stream.